7, aka Diz, and this is the Force always.
Okay, so welcome to the show. Let's get on with the Star Wars news, and what a big week this has been. Let's start off with, later on in the show, The Mandalorian, Chapter 15, Episode 7. It's called The Believer. God, I'm getting, the numbers or the chapters or the episodes partially wrong. There's so many numbers there. But anyway, there will be a review later on in the show by myself in the review section for Disney Plus's The Mandalorian. Again, Episode 7, Chapter 15, Season 2, The Believer, later on in the show. Two more news. We had a really big news day in the last 48 hours. It was a Disney Investor Event 2020, just sort of, showing what's coming up in the near future, 2021, 2022 partially. And that's all stuff, not just Star Wars, Marvel, National Geographic, things like this. But I will be letting you know later in the show what was my favorite and what was my least favorite, and some little in-between questions. In the interview section, which is the last part of this particular episode that I usually have, the interviews, 2Q, 2 questions, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, just let's go through the big Star Wars news. So before I do this, because it's quite a big news story for that, the Chapter 15, Episode 7, The Mandalorian has aired on Disney Plus. We've got one more episode that's next week. Speaking of which, I will be uploading an episode of The Force Always really close to after the actual final episode to give my thoughts and things like that. How close, I don't know. Even though it sounds great for you guys, maybe in America, that we get at 7 p.m, but it's on a Friday night. Traffic is quite intense, and normal life errands. I'll try and get it to you as quick as I can via this. Anyway, so let's get into the big Star Wars news of this week. Kathleen Kennedy, the director of the main person for Lucasfilm at Disney, has announced so many new things coming out for Disney Plus and theatre. Let me go through them now. There's going to be a new TV series called Rangers of the New Republic, and Ahsoka. Ahsoka being Ahsoka Tano, the one that came from Clone Wars, Dave Filoni's head, the one we just saw in one of the episodes in Mandalorian. Ahsoka is getting her own series, and this complete new idea, it's called Rangers of the New Republic. That was that one. And let's get into, so we got also a lot of this production is going to be utilizing the new technology, which is like a really big space and back scenery, things like that, on big LED screens. It was a mind-blowing sort of new technology for season 1 of Mandalorian. It was great technology. They'll be using a lot of that in Australia, here, England and America, to save costs and to save the whole COVID-19 possibilities or any other pandemic that possibly happens. Let's just wish not, because 2020 has been quite a year. Anyway, so it's called Stagecraft, and it's sort of, they're building facilities, I think, in Australia, I think partly in the UK, and I'm sure it's been done in America already completely, maybe expanding on that. But anyway, let's get on with more things that happen. We've got a new series called Andor. It's Cassian Andor. He's the main character from Rogue One. He's got his own series, obviously having the name just Andor. It's obviously going to be family related. It's going to be Rogue One connected, so watch out for that. We've also got coming out the Obi-Wan, the highly anticipated Obi-Wan Kenobi series. But the interesting part of this, Hayden Christensen, who played Darth Vader, will be reprising the role for this series. How many particular episodes or series or whatever it is, It will be interesting. Apparently, it's 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. That would make it about 9 years before New Hope. So that's right in the dead center there. They would have aged almost perfectly, close to, in sort of a way, even though it's been 15 years since that, but since Revenge of the Sith technically, but it's going to be 10 years in the Star Wars storyline after Revenge of the Sith. But I'm glad that Hayden Christensen he's got it. Personally, I think he's the perfect fit for it, even though he gets slammed for his acting or whatever dialogue or whatever it was. But I personally thought he was actually pretty good. I thought he suited the role. He had the look, he had the eyes, the very sinister eyes, turning to the dark side. I think it's good. So that's coming out with the Obi-Wan Kenobi. It's actually going to be called Obi-Wan Kenobi series, coming to Disney Plus. It should be in 2021. They're going to start filming in March. Anyway, to more news that happened on the big news day. Sorry, I should point out, do you love the Christmas lights back there? Christmas is coming. Anyway, to more news. The Bad Batch got a trailer which is connected to the Clone Wars animated series. This is going to be an animated series. It's sort of like some rogue stormtrooper type, clone trooper type characters going to get their own sort of series. How long it lasts for, I don't know, but it's called The Bad Batch. We've got a trailer. You can check that one out online. We also got this very sort of not super clear sort of thing, but it's going to be for Disney Plus. It's called Star Wars Visions. Apparently it's animated. Apparently it's going to be a manga sort of inspired short films released to Disney Plus. So that's something that's different. Yet to really get a clear idea what that's going to be about and what it really, how long it is, and does it connect, does it not connect, is it whatever it is. But it's called Visions. That's going to be coming out too. We also got a bit of a surprise, sort of a surprise. Lando Calrissian, it's going to be called Lando. He's going to get his own TV series. There was no specific way of them saying if it was going to be animated or if it's going to be live action, but Kathleen Kennedy said the return of Lando, so I think it's going to be live action. I couldn't see why it wouldn't be. Great colourful logo if you saw this, and a great person helming this particular part of the franchise. This guy here, here's a picture of him. I think it's, I loved, let's call him Childish Gambino. He was definitely a highlight in Solo, the film. Hopefully this connects into maybe getting, a Solo 2 movie out there, or maybe onto Disney Plus. But anyway, that was more that happened. We've got this interesting piece of news. It's called The Acolyte, Star Wars Acolyte. Apparently it's at the end of the High Republic, so it's going to be sort of medieval sort of feeling Star Wars, but it's going to be very, very gothic. I think it's going to be very dark and very twisted and sinister. And so that's coming out. That looks pretty good. We've got something here that's sort of a bit of a staple. I think it's a bit of a safe card, but I think it's going to be more for the kids. It's called A Droid Story, not a Star Wars story, but A Droid Story. Star Wars A Droid Story. It's going to have C-3PO and R2-D2, sort of going through their own adventures. Unsure if it's going to be animated or not, but hopefully it's voiced by Anthony Daniels. I'm sure he's going to take that on still. He's a hard-working man for C-3PO, but... And then it gets into the theatrical releases. It has, at this stage, been announced that, Waka Waititi, I think, I can't get his... I'm in Australia. We're right next to New Zealand. That's where he's from, and I still can't get his name right. Waka Waititi, I think, is going to direct or produce or write or do it all. The next Star Wars sort of theatrical release. There was no specific year. It could be 2022. It could be in between. We don't know. But that seems to be very much in development at the moment. Nothing really to give away with that. But I think the only thing that we can expect is something very different. If you know his work from Thor, or even that Jojo Rabbit is quite out there. Even the New Zealand film, I can't remember the name, but that was a very good film. So that's what's coming out theatrically. Also, another big announcement. This was a bit of a surprise. It's sort of a little bit obvious, and I did make a choice many episodes ago with the Force Awakens. Who would I like to see direct a film? Patty Jenkins, who did Wonder Woman. I think she would be great. I'm not a big Wonder Woman fan for the movie. I think it was a bit overrated. It was still very good. I just thought it was okay. Nothing to do with Wonder Woman, nothing to do with Patty Jenkins. It just was a little bit too. It was okay. It was the best you could do for Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman 1984 looks really good. That sort of is quite a very interesting idea. I just thought the whole concept with Wonder Woman in a sort of Greek mythology sort of look was really too much. It might be a part of her character, but I just thought it was a little bit too much. But anyway, Patty Jenkins will be releasing a film or films from 2023. So these are part of the films that were announced already. 2023, 2025, 2027. Whether it's 25 and 27, we're yet to see. But it's the first one, or all of them, are going to be called Rogue Squadron. That's right, Rogue Squadron. And so we have, and obviously with being Lucasfilm, there was a whole lot of other announcements. If you're into Willow the movie, you're going to get a TV series out of that. And Indiana Jones will have its last installment coming out as well. So that will be interesting. I think that will make it 5 movies. I know not many people like the latest and the last Indiana Jones. I thought it was okay. I thought it was good. I didn't hate it as many people did. You know, maybe the weak point was, you know, going back to Aliens being Spielberg and Lucas. I thought that was maybe a bit unoriginal for those guys, but I enjoyed it. It was fine. Obviously, there's, you know, my favourite would be The Last Crusade. That was good. But anyway, whole lot of announcements from Lucasfilm, from Disney, with Star Wars and some other stuff I just mentioned. It's going to be a big couple of years in building and releasing. Hopefully the world doesn't go crazy again in pandemics and stuff like that. That is pretty much the Star Wars news, including, just to finish off, as still Mandalorian is ruling our TV screens in more ways than one. Here's a character poster of Boba Fett. Boba Fett was in last week's episode, not the one we just got now, the one before. It was a great episode, and here's a character poster. They've been releasing these when they have introduced a new character in this season 2, and here it is. It's probably old news, but new news, being a new character poster, but old news that we know who Boba Fett is. Anyway, that's the news for this time around. Let's get into the views. Views this time around, it's all about my story ideas. My story idea this week is, now we've got Boba Fett sort of back into The Mandalorian, what character would be interesting to go up against Boba Fett? Even though I don't like bringing back the dead, there is some sort of logic bringing this person back for acting reasons, for money reasons, because this guy makes a lot of money for films, but also the possibility in his storyline, you could see that he could have survived. It's Jackson, Samuel L. Jackson, who played Mace Windu in the prequels. He did technically die in episode 3 by the hands of, well, the lightning from the hands of Palpatine, or Emperor at that stage. He did go flying out the window. He could have landed somewhere. That's why I'm saying it would make a sort of a partial sense. But I think to include him in this series of The Mandalorian, imagine if we saw him in the last moment of season 2 and Boba Fett sees him. He would be full of revenge for his father's death, which was Jango, because Mace Windu killed Boba Fett's dad, Jango Fett, and in front of him, actually. So I think that would be a really riveting storyline, and how that works out. And I would like to see. I love Samuel Jackson. He's in bad films, he's in good films, he's in a lot of films. Yet you don't get drawn into him sort of playing this. He really suits each role for what it is. I mean, he's got a certain style that is sort of the same, but he's so good. I love his acting. Even way back, if you can remember, Coming to America, he's in that. He robs a McDowell's, which is a fake McDonald's. Oh man, that was funny. Speaking of which, there's another film that coming out, coming to America, number 2. That's not Star Wars related, but thought I'd mention it. Anyway, so that's my story idea. Bringing back Mace Windu to go up against Boba Fett in Mandalorian would be great. In a revengeful manner on Boba Fett's behalf. That's my idea. Now, let's get into reviews. Reviews this week is of, let's go through it. The Mandalorian Season 2, Chapter 15, Episode 7. It's called The Believer. This episode, straight off the bat, I'm going to give a 9 out of 10. It's quite high. Now, I'm noticing that a lot of people just think it's a bit of a filler episode. It's an okay episode. I thought it was this type of... Look, this was Star Wars meets action with a bit of great slow acting type sort of speaking. And it all gelled. It just all gelled. Especially that sinister Imperial person who gets shot. Spoiler here, who gets shot by one of the bad guys turned good, apparently by the end of this episode. I thought his acting and the way he delivered his lines was so good. He's one of the best Imperial officers since Tarkin, I think, personally. But Tarkin is the character from A New Hope, just in case you didn't know. But I thought it was just, Star Wars meets an action sort of thrill type ride. I think, the way it started, going back, it started off with Moff Gideon, and then it ended with the Mandalorian saying his words, what he said at the start of the episode, in his way, and it made sense on two sides of the coin. But I thought it ended poetically. I didn't think it was a great setup for the next episode, which is the last episode. It was good. It was just not great. The reason why I'm giving it 9 out of 10, I just thought Star Wars needs a height of emotion, and that string was not strung. But it was so good. Like, it's just such a pleasure watching this. It was short. It was a 30-something minute episode. 9 out of 10 for that particular episode. I'm not going to go through the titles again. It's too long. That's maybe one problem that the Mandalorian's having, is there's too many things to remember. Episode, chapter, season, just too many numbers. But anyway, that's for Disney Plus to work out. Anyway, so that's reviews. Let's get into interviews. Interviews is 2Q, 2 questions where I ask myself, you guys out there. First question, which was my favorite part of the investors meeting announcements by Disney for all the Star Wars stuff? I think there was 3. For me, I'm a theatrical movie type guy, so I don't care if it's Rise of Skywalker, I don't care if it's The Phantom Menace. I love the theater type movie story experience. It's always epic. It's always fun to see in the big film. So obviously, Waititi's film that's in development was pretty exciting, which is sort of pretty well known now that he's doing it. But Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron is definitely an equal favourite. It does the idea of Rogue again in a film really does confuse the universe. It lends itself too much to things that are already done. I think that was one problem with The Last Jedi, is that they used the word Jedi again. So every time they refer to the Jedi film, which one? Return of the Jedi or The Last Jedi. But going back to the ones that I thought were favourite was definitely Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron, either movie or beginning of a franchise, was very exciting, surprising, and I'm glad that she's got the role for directing and or writing this. The other one that looks the best was Andor. I thought Andor, the actual name, the idea, that to me is going to be a big one. So they're my favourites, equal favourites. That's the ones I'm looking forward for the most. The my second question is, what was my least favorite? I think there was two. The visions, it just didn't really come clear, and there was not a whole lot of desire on my behalf to know what is in this. But it's still good. I would definitely watch it. I'm sure it will turn out to be better than I think, but I didn't gravitate to that. And the other one, so there's actually three. There's also a droid story. I think, C-3PO and R2-D2 are great, but they're a bit ordinary even to Star Wars fans. I mean, they're beloved, but there's nothing overly exciting about them besides being a co-star to the other stars, characters or movies. I think they work better as a rather than a lead. So that'll be something that I'm not overly excited for, but definitely will watch and see what happens. The other one I just thought come off really immaturely, too young sort of sounding, which is Rangers of the New Republic. I think it just sounds, hopefully it doesn't come off like that cartoon. I think it was called The Resistance. I don't think I've watched many episodes with that. I have access to it, but I've just never been desired to do it. I just wish that this is not going to be, Power Rangers, which is nothing against Power Rangers. It's a bit, it's a lot of energy for nothing. But, again, with all these ones I didn't like, they could turn out very well. I love Star Wars, bad or good, no matter what, I'm here rocking, as you know, here on a weekly basis. That's the Interviews 2Q this week. There's 2 questions we ask myself for you guys. I'm here on a weekly basis with the Star Wars news, views, reviews, interviews. Please subscribe to the channel, The Force Always, only on YouTube. You can contact me by Twitter, which is just down there. That's why I was doing that, not like a dance or anything like that. And you can contact me by Instagram or just send me a YouTube message, whatever you like. And next week will be a special episode as I bring it closer to the point just after the episode of The Mandalorian to give a big finale sort of feel to those episodes. Until next week, rocking the apple. Anyway, bit of free advertising there. Until next time, keep rocking.